Do you care what people think of you?
No.
Why not? Some do.
Because I'm very comfortable with me, so I don't really give a fuck what anybody thinks, because I know the truth. What you think probably isn't the truth.
Have you always been like this, or did you care at one point in your life about others' opinions of you?
I for sure used to care, and it's a miserable life. Don't do it. 'Cause a lot of people don't know. They don't know, so what are you... Everybody usually has to make some sort of assumption. Unless you know me and you heard it from me, you probably don't even know a quarter of the story, so.
What was the turning point when you went from caring about other people's opinions to not?
I think it was about 2 years ago precisely, where I realized, like, trying to fit myself in a box to make other people more comfortable, or I would call it like dim my light to make other people more comfortable. Maybe not speak my mind, not share certain experiences or how I got to certain places, because I didn't want someone to not accept me or like not be in my life anymore. And then some people, regardless of the dimming my light and trying to fit myself in a box, left anyway. So it was like, what the fuck? I should have just been me the whole time. Authentically me, or unapologetically me the whole time.
Now, when people do care about another person's opinion of them, it can lead to health issues. For some people, it could be a certain level of stress, anxiety, depression, worst case, suicidal thoughts. Have you faced any of these obstacles when you did care about other people's opinions of you?
Yeah, I have. I've been mentally, like, not in a great place multiple times. But that's the other thing about that, is that when I was in very uncomfortable, depressed, or anxious places, it was always over something that now, in hindsight, I'm like, I was really fucking dumb. And usually, from my experience, the people that I'm concerned over how they look at me or how they feel about me were very manipulative people, which are not people that I should be concerned or worried about what they think of me anyways. I definitely still take my family and like my very close friends, I take what they think pretty seriously. As long as I'm not like wilding out to the point where they're like, we're worried about you, then I'm good, and that doesn't happen, so.
When it came to your mental state back then, was this a self-diagnosis, or were you ever diagnosed by a professional over it?
I was diagnosed by a professional. I used to be in therapy. I was in therapy for years. My doctors diagnosed me, and I was very, very unhappy, but eventually, once like finding myself and kind of going through that transitional period, it started to fade away. And now I can say I'm actually very, very happy and healthy.
And care to share what it was?
What was?
That you were diagnosed with?
Depression and anxiety.
And is it something that you still face today, or you've completely overcome?
Depression, I feel that I've completely overcome. Anxiety, I would say I've overcome about 98%. I still will get anxieties over little things here and there, like when I go through a transitional phase, but I think that that's normal. So I don't, write that off as I'm still going through it. Day to day, I'm happy and I'm healthy.
How were you able to get over the depression?
Honestly, I changed my life like 360. I told myself that I would give myself, I think it was like 30 days or 60 days to just do everything completely different than what I was doing. And if I woke up in 30 to 60 days, I don't remember which one it was, and I was still going through it the way that I was, then I would have to reevaluate and figure something else out, because the way that I felt, like, that wasn't living. And so I just changed everything. I changed my friend group. I went on like a cleanse, detox, changed my diet, changed my daily routine, everything.
And was this something you do on your own, or was that with the advice of the professional?
It was entirely on my own. My doctor at the time tried to prescribe me a antidepressant. I also had insomnia, and that helped, or it contributed to insomnia. So it was like making it 10 times worse. And I stopped taking that, and I just decided to do my own thing.
Did you let your doctor know that you were going to do your own thing, or that you had done your own thing at some point? Did he or she see this and see the transition?
No, I actually think that I never went back. I don't think I've seen that doctor in like 5 years or something like that, 4 or 5 years.
And for time reference, it's February 2021. Was the professional helpful at all?
That doctor, no. No. I didn't feel heard, which I think is really important when you're going through those things.
And you've seen more than one professional, or was that the only professional you actually saw?
During that time, I saw 1 or 2. I believe 1 or 2. And then I also was in therapy. I may have stopped therapy by that point, though, which was the same woman that I saw for years.
Were any of the professionals you saw helpful?
Mm-hmm. The therapy was helpful, but it was like a purge in the moment, and I didn't really feel like it was helping me long term. Like, I would wake up the next day still feeling like shit. So I was like, great, I went to therapy, now I feel good for the rest of the day. Boom, wake up tomorrow, start the whole shit over again.
Did you tell him this?
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't really into it, honestly.
And when you saw any of these professionals, well, let me backtrack. When you did see that woman, do you remember what age you were at the time?
I think I started seeing her around like 16. Yeah, something like 16.
When it came to any of these professionals, were they people that you saw on your own terms? Was it suggested, or was it forced?
My mother asked me to go to therapy, so I went, and we actually made an agreement over it. And then I think when I went to see my doctor, one day I was like, this is crazy. I don't think this is normal. I think I need to go see somebody.
And the doctor, was it a specific type of doctor?
No, it was just like I want to say like my pediatrician at the time or something.
And how long do you think you battled this depression before you finally overcame it? Rough estimate.
I would say it was an off and on thing, so I would say off and on for 8 to 10 years, probably.
Anything you would say to somebody watching this that let me see how I want to phrase this question. Anything you would say to somebody watching this that you want them to know about people that go through depression?
if you are be gentle with yourself, first of all, but also make the commitment to like see it through. I think for me, like a lot of the time that I would start to come out of it, I would be like, oh, cool, I'm coming out of it, and then stop doing the things that I was doing to get me out of it. And then I would fall back into it. And then it was this like up and down cycle that just felt crazy, because then you end up, 3 years in, you're like, how the fuck am I still here? But whatever you are finding that is working, keep doing it, even when it is working. And if you haven't found what's working, keep searching for what's working, because you will find something. And then just make that commitment to yourself. But be gentle along the way, because it's all a learning process.
And just curious, does depression or anxiety run in your family at all?
I think it does. I think depression most definitely does. I'm about 99% sure of that.
Now, what is your opinion of this, okay? I know at this point you don't, well, you already described what your opinion is on other people's opinions of you, but what is your opinion on cancel culture? Are you familiar with that phrase, first of all?
I think I'm familiar.
All right, for people watching that might not be, I'll give the full definition. On dictionary.com, cancel culture refers to the popular practice of withdrawing support for public figures and companies after they have done or said something considered objectionable or offensive. Cancel culture is generally discussed as being performed on social media in the form of group shaming. So you might see a mob of comments saying, cancel this person, this brand, this product, and so on. What is your opinion of cancel culture?
I think it depends on the circumstance or the situation. So I think for people, like if someone is now getting canceled for something they tweeted when they were 16, I don't agree with that. I think that we all change, we all grow, so we shouldn't be prosecuting people for some ignorant, childish tweet from literally 10, 15 years ago. Even 5 years ago. Like, if you're in your mom's house, not really doing much with your life, people aren't looking at what you're doing, so what you say doesn't have as magnified, I guess, of an impact. And then for brands or companies, it depends. Like after last year, when a lot of companies weren't supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement, I decided to personally not fuck with them anymore. And that's different to me, because that's a conscious decision you're making right now to not be supportive. Whereas someone doing something or tweeting something or making a mistake that is kind of, what's the word where it's like sudden. If it's sudden, you don't really have a lot of time to think about it. But if you're making a choice continuously to not do something, that's different.
You being a public figure, does that worry you at all? Or is that something you fear perhaps, being canceled? Something you may say or something you may do, and cancel culture coming for you?
No, because I have pure intentions. So even if something that I were to say is misconstrued or maybe it's politically incorrect, I'm never too prideful to, I'm not too prideful to apologize or admit where I was wrong or admit where I was ignorant. And I think that that's what the conversation be about. I don't think it should be about canceling people. I think it should be about pointing out, hey, this isn't cool, and this is why, and educate the people, or me, if that were the circumstance, on why, and enlighten people rather than shun them. So if that were, which I don't really fear things, and God forbid, I don't want that to happen, but if that were to happen, I would make that the narrative, is changing cancel culture from my experience.
Have people ever attempted to cancel you or something you've done at this point?
No.
And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have people that did not, or brands, I can't remember, you said brands or products that didn't support Black Lives Matter, you personally do not F with anymore. Is this forever, or can that ever change in the future?
It could potentially change. I don't ever like to say that something is forever, but if you didn't make an effort and it comes down to just not caring, not really seeing the benefit of it, maybe being afraid of being shadow banned in the algorithms and your advertisements and all that, whatever, the shit doesn't matter at the end of the day. There is a way to come back from it. I don't know what that would be, whether it's putting someone in position on the board that is a person of color, a woman of color. That's a good step forward. I don't know if that would fix it, but it's a movement in the right direction.
Care to name the brands or products you don't F with because of their choice?
Anthropology was one that I was just like, no. That was the main one.
And you're still against it at this point?
Yeah. I also haven't updated, done any research to figure out, did they make an attempt to make a comeback? I don't really care to see if they did. So as of now, I don't.
And at this point, who's your biggest critic?
My biggest critic?
Yeah, overall speaking. Whether it's, the artist industry, travel influence industry, modeling industry, doesn't matter. Overall speaking, who's your biggest critic at this point?
I don't feel like I have any. Honestly, I have a very supportive audience. I have very supportive peers and mentors. People that are really helping me to grow the projects that I'm working on. So there isn't a lot of you should be doing this and you could do this better. For the most part, I think that my head has been in a really good place and my ideas have been amazing. So people have been supportive of that.
When it comes to criticism, do you welcome it? Do you want to hear it?
If it's constructive.
You take it into consideration?
Depending on the source or what it's about, but for the most part, I like to move with how I feel, lead with my heart. So if it's not in alignment with how I feel, then it's not for me.
Have things ever gotten physical receiving criticism before?
No. No.
Ever fell out with anyone over a criticism?
I think that I've definitely, me and whoever I'm around, we've taken space from one another because we're not in the same headspace, but never, fell out permanently.